Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Life in Construction podcast. I'm Suzanne Lianopoulos, Director of Marketing for the Target Market Concrete here at Sika, and I'm joined here with my co-host, Rick Montani, who is a Senior Advisor at Sika. Rick, nice to be here again with you.
Good to see you again, Suzanne. Great to be here, and really excited to talk about today's topic, which is we're going to be learning a lot about a new organization and initiative that's focused on sustainability in the concrete world, and more specifically on concrete repair. The organization is called PEX, and it stands for the Preservation and Service Life Extension of Concrete Structures. And to educate us on this, we've got two well-known industry experts in the repair, protection, and strengthening world. And that's Mr. Peter Emmons and Mr. David Whitmore. So guys, hello. Say hello.
Hey,
hi, Rick.
Hello, guys. Excited to be here.
Very good. Very good.
Well, thank you both for joining us. And maybe let's start by just giving us a brief background of who you are and a little bit about your experiences in the concrete repair world.
Okay, maybe I'll start out. It's Peter Emmons, and I've been in the business for 55 years. So I started young, and I got thrusted into fixing things in the repair field of concrete structures, and been doing it for those number of years, and have learned an immense amount of what goes on with concrete and all the things that need to be maintained. It's a great material, and it just needs some tender loving care like we do as humans. And as I've learned a lot as a contractor, doing all the repairs in the field, with field people, and that's where my background really lies, is getting work done in the field.
Great. Thanks, Peter. And David?
Sure. I'm Dave Whitmore. I've been in the concrete repair industry for 45 years, actually, this year. So it's amazing to think about that. Started out on the construction side of the business and evolved over time to more the engineering and corrosion materials side of things. But like Peter, we've been involved in repairing concrete structures for many, many years. And we're certainly interested to be here today to talk to you about PEX.
So that means we have 100 years between the two of us, Dave. That's 45 and 55.
Pretty darn impressive, if you ask me. Very good guy.
A whole century.
Can I just add one thing is, Peter, you're president and CEO of Structural Group. I think you should mention that, right? And
yes,
an amazing company in the concrete repair and protection world. And David, you're president and CEO of Vector Technologies, correct?
Yeah, I'm President and Chief Innovation Officer for Vector Corrosion Technologies, and yes, we're in the concrete repair field as well.
Excellent.
That's fantastic. I mean, we have quite the guests here today, and we mentioned PEX, and to kind of get it kicked off, we have a short video, an introduction that will really explain all about what PEX is for all the listeners who aren't as familiar with it. So we'll go here to the video.
We walk on it. We drive over it. We build our lives around it. Concrete, the silent giant beneath our feet, holds up the world we know. But what if our future doesn't depend on building more? What if it depends on saving what we've already built? In 2024, a vision took shape. PEX was born. The Center of Excellence for the Preservation and Service Life Extension of Concrete Structures. Its mission? To drive global awareness, education, tools, and actions to preserve and extend the service life of concrete structures to ensure a sustainable built environment. Over 12 billion cubic yards of concrete are in service across the United States. For each day that 12 billion cubic yards is kept in service, 6.6 million tons of CO2 emissions are saved. Extending the life of concrete instead of tearing it down and rebuilding prevents 6.6 million tons of CO2 emissions every single day. Every structure we preserve and extend the life of protects our planet, sparing the land from extraction, the air from emissions, and the earth from irreversible harm. Managing the built environment all around us through proper maintenance and repair is the most sustainable choice we can make. We've seen what's lost when we wait too long, and what's possible when we act with urgency and care. PEX is more than a hub. It's a place where builders, visionaries, and educators align to lead with purpose. Since the Nonprofit Center of Excellence launched in 2024, it has garnered financial support from industry leaders and has been hard at work conducting road mapping sessions aimed at developing the path forward. PEX released the first version of its strategic plan, which provides an overview of how critical preservation and service life extension are to sustaining the planet, and creates direction and focus through the establishment of 6 goals, which are: highlight the societal benefits of enhanced service life for new and existing structures, develop strategies to conserve resources and reduce environmental impact through proper concrete asset management, raise awareness of the financial benefits of durability design and service life extension, advocate for responsible stewardship of the built concrete environment, serve as a knowledge hub for tools and techniques to extend service life, and publish periodic sustainability reports on the repair industry's efforts and set future goals as needed. Accomplishing these goals will help create a better future, and PEX is leading the conversation. Join the PEX journey as a sponsoring organization, supporting organization, or individual member today. We're standing on this spinning ball we call home, and the world we leave for the next generation depends on what we choose to preserve today. PEX, preserve, extend, lead.
So that was a really great introduction and overview of PEX. And so now it'd be really interesting to hear how did this all get started? We know sustainability is increasingly important across all aspects of construction. And so how did PEX get off the ground? And David, maybe we'll start with you first.
Great. Well, thank you. So I guess as we said before the video, Peter and I have been involved in the concrete repair industry for quite a few years. And, through that time, we've developed experience, saving structures or repairing structures to extend their service life, keep them functional as contractors. And we realized that these activities of the concrete repair industry are really key to supporting the environmental initiatives of the overall construction industry. And that if we could take a more assertive approach to that, we'd be able to hopefully help a much broader range of stakeholders to understand the situation and make better decisions. And with that information and background, they'd be able to make better decisions with regard to the service life and extension of service life of their concrete structures, which are really assets that should be preserved and maintained.
And Dave, how did you gather interest? I mean, how did you get people to gravitate toward this?
Yeah, so I guess we had some meetings at ACI. We've had some meetings at ICERI. We kind of put the idea out there, like, we need to do something that's more at an industry level as opposed to just what, maybe Peter or I are doing, individually or at a company level. And we had a lot of interest and a lot of enthusiasm from a wide range of people in those meetings. The initial meetings were very informal. We then had some more structured meetings at ICERI and ACI, and we would have 50 to 100 people showing up covering, consultants, owners, contractors that all seem to have an interest in this initiative. And so kind of with that background, we thought it was worth putting some time and effort into, creating an organization to, follow that through.
Yeah, it's interesting. You don't always get a hot reaction on sustainability topics. But did you guys, like Peter, did you see a good reaction from people?
Yeah, I think, I was talking to Dave earlier, and we were talking about if we did this 20 years ago, it falls on deaf ears. And I think over the last 2 decades, the concept of sustainability, it became more present, and especially it's been accelerating with the whole Earth issues of global warming, the presence of that in the media, that people are ready for really understanding how they can contribute to it. So I think the surprise, well, it wasn't a surprise. I think the energy of intensity of the participants was a surprise of how excited people were that somebody was going to do a deep dive on this whole initiative of sustainability when it comes to the repair industry, the maintenance of concrete industry. And that was a surprise, the intensity. So we got more excited about it. It was kind of validating our assumptions of what was important to us as running companies, Dave and myself, and that it was much broader than that. It was with manufacturers, engineers, and contractors. But that was really exciting to get reinforcement early on. And that's really helped us glue this thing together and create a nonprofit that was going to help represent all parts of the concrete industry. The concrete industry is made up of so many parts and pieces on the new construction side, the repair and maintenance side, the protection side. So we have probably 26 or more organizations that represent the different facets. So it's a very fractured industry. And this sustainability is a common theme that everybody wants to bring into their organizations at the association level, and also the companies that work within this industry, because their customers are asking for it. So we're glad to be here to do that as an organization that will represent the whole industry.
And just maybe, Dave, there's funding too. I mean, you need funding for an effort like this too. I mean, the reaction there was good.
Well, it's been good. It's been better than expected. I think this is an issue that's important to me, and I was prepared to put money into it. We were already, as a company, putting money into this issue ourselves, and I felt that by working together with others, we would be a lot more effective overall. And talked to Peter about that. He was on board. Talked to a number of other key companies in the industry, and the vast majority of the people that we talked to were not only interested, but they were prepared to support this because it aligned with issues that they're trying to push as well. And I think that's a really good thing for all of us.
It sounds like it's unique too on the topic of sustainability that through PEX, you've been able to connect sustainability practically through all the different portions of, I don't know if I say the value chain or the stakeholders, and make it, that common thread is sustainability across all of them. A lot of organizations I've seen that struggle with sustainability don't connect all the dots, and it sounds like that's what you're providing here.
Yeah, and then some of our initial meetings, we did a series of what we called road mapping workshops, where we just invited anyone that was interested to come, and they were kind of brainstorming sessions, just to get input, get people's opinions, what the priorities were. I think beyond having people that were directly in our industry, like Peter's mentioned, the material suppliers, the contractors, the engineers, we had, university people coming out to that. We had owners, government and private owners coming out. We've had code, like building code people that have come out to some of the meetings. This issue is broader than the direct companies that are within, as you said, the value chain of the construction part itself. I mean, ultimately this impacts the owners and users of these structures, and they're the ones that ultimately are paying for the structures themselves as well as the maintenance of them, and they're also the ones that are inconvenienced by the fact that if you let it deteriorate to such a point that you need to knock it down and replace it, then that's impacting the public in terms of transportation and their ability to get to and from work, etc. And so, yeah, I think it was important to include all of those stakeholders in this kind of from the beginning.
Yeah, maybe if I can jump in a little bit, Dave. So on some of these road mapping workshops, we had owners there, DOTs,
federal government people.
Federal government, yeah. And one of the things that
City.
we think of, and I think it's true with all materials that build structures, whether it's steel, timber, masonry, concrete, they all require maintenance. And concrete's a unique material because it's very maintainable. Just like steel structures, if you paint them regularly, that's maintenance. We do the same thing with concrete. Maybe there's more tools in our toolbox for concrete because it's made up of a lot of different materials. But one of the things that we realize in talking with these owners is, they think of it as maintenance and repair, break and fix. It's broken, I got to fix it. It's a necessary evil. I think what this movement of PEX, which is about preservation and service life extension, is changing the perception of it's an expense. Fixing things has to go into a maintenance budget, and it's a pain to spend money on something that's just needs maintenance. Just like you buy a new car, you're excited about it, but when you maintain it, it's a pain. Same thing with concrete. That's the perception. But we believe, and we see this already in discussing this with our stakeholder owners that actually own and pay for these costs, that it's moving from the break and fix mentality and maintenance expense to asset management. When you have an asset and you're preserving it, and your service life extension, that's value add. It's making the structure more valuable if you can extend it 20, 50 years in service life. So it's turning into a capital investment in their mind. It's extending the service life. Therefore, the asset's maintaining value, or it's going to increase value. It's not going to decrease in value. So that's exciting to see how these stakeholders at the owner side are really the ones that have to see that. And then they'll invest more in taking care of it. Just like our physical bodies, if we take care of it, there's less big deals, downstream. So if we take care of it, give it tender, loving care, then that automatically will give service life extension. So teaching owners how to do that is going to be really important as part of the mission of PEX. That's one of our goals, actually, is advocacy of this initiative, not just within the industry that fixes these structures and extends the service life, but the owner's attitude towards, investing and taking care of it. That's exciting.
Well, that's a perfect lead in because I wanted to ask you guys next about the goals of PEX, because, like the video shows and everything you're saying, knocking down structures versus extending their life and the sustainability benefits there. I think a lot of people understand that. It's nice and you can get people on board. But ultimately, to Suzanne's point, you got to get practical about this and say, what are we actually going to do? So where is PEX at? What are the goals? And how specific have you been able to get there on the goals of PEX?
Yeah, it's kind of exciting because, we started out to get to the goals, we had to have a mission. And then you have a vision, and then you have some strategies and goals. So we kind of started out with the mission, which you heard in the video, which is to drive awareness, education, technologies, and actions to preserve and extend the service life of concrete structures. So we started with that, and we kind of presented that in these road mapping exercises to find out what is it that we can actually do strategy-wise to meet that mission. After those road mapping exercises, we sorted out all the things that we heard, and we created these 6 goals that we could actually make something happen towards making the mission happen. So the first 3 goals are really the substance of the mission, creating societal benefits, enhancing the service life. If you enhance the service life, you'll create societal benefits. So we really centered around that one as the most important because it's all about people. And we know that structures that have to be replaced have tremendous impact to society. And even maintaining them, we go down the highway and we're doing service life extension, and it has societal impacts of delays in traffic and those kinds of things. So goal number 1 is really fundamental to how do you manage the impact of society And we've come up with some really great ways to do that within that goal. The second goal is which is really fundamental to the environmental issue that we kind of connected to initially, which is to conserve resources, the Earth's resources. You saw in the video, they have to mine rocks out of the earth, and this shortage of sand that can be used in new structures for concrete production. As an example, good aggregates, we're running shy of that. It's hard to believe, but we got to conserve. One of the goals here is to conserve resources like that, and to reduce the environmental impact, which we hear about, global warming, greenhouse gases, those kinds of things, through proper concrete asset management. So we believe that has so much substance, because everybody wants to know, if I extend the service life, how do I connect the real analytical benefits? And we'll get into that a little bit later, of some of the things we're doing in this particular goal. It's very exciting of how to translate something that's kind of qualitative, improve the resources and improve the environmental impacts. That's kind of qualitative when you can say it, but people want to know concrete analytical answers to that. So that goal is really going to address that. And then there's the third goal is the financial awareness, raise awareness of the financial benefits of durability design and service life extension. So we really got into this. We started our concept that it's all about existing structures and keeping them, well maintained and extending the service life. But we realized the greatest benefit of service life extension happens during the initial construction, the initial design.
Right.
And if you have good designs, you'll be able to extend the service life just because you have a great design. It's hard to fix something that's already flawed, in a design or construction of the original structures. There's lots of examples. So we have a lot of rich things there to talk about and strategies to improve the financial benefits. So yes, there's some investment. It's pretty small relative to these later impacts. So that's very exciting to help educate our industry and the stakeholders.
So just
And then
maybe if I jump in, Peter,
Sure.
and maybe Dave, you have a comment on this, but so these three fundamental goals, the first three you mentioned, how do you attack these? I mean, do you have groups that are diving into each one of these, or how is that kind of structured? Can you give us a little feel for that, how that works?
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So basically, we've established these goals. In total, there are 6 of them. We decided to focus initially on the first 3 goals. So we've established task groups or working groups that are focused on each one, like on one of those individual goals. And they're open to anyone. If people want to join one of the working groups, all they need to do is go to our website and you can sign up for one or all of them if you want. And so we have 3 different active working groups. Each one is working on one of the 3 goals. And the expectation is that as we develop things further and get more people involved in this initiative, we'll add and we'll be working on goals 4, 5, and 6 kind of concurrently with them. And so go ahead.
Oops, sorry, just a question, because we talked about it earlier about the good representation of all the different stakeholders. Do you see that same representation in your task groups for these individual goals? Would you say, or at least a smattering of them?
The working groups are definitely smaller than the big public forums that we had to kind of just get input and whatever. So there's not as many people there, but we have a good cross section of interests, different parts of the industry, as Peter's mentioned, government, involvement in some of the working groups as well. So yeah, it's been pretty good. And I think one other set of groups or organizations that have been really, really positively involved in this has been other industry organizations. We've kind of reached out to at first concrete related industry organizations that are specifically related to or somehow touch repair. And then we've had more, discussions with other industry groups, and it seems like the vast majority of the industry groups that we've talked to have been very interested. We have memorandums of understanding, basically collaboration agreements with quite a few of them, and that's really good because each of these groups has their own perspective. They have their own technical resources, and instead of us, having to duplicate or recreate something, in a lot of cases, some of these organizations already have some of the pieces that we need, as part of the solution.
Great. So, Peter, I think we got through
The
first three, but do you want to take us and finish up with the last three?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So I just want to add that each one of these goals, the task groups, they're identifying actionable things that can be done to support each of those goals. So there might be 3 or 4 active projects going on in each of these, and it will continually be a live strategic plan, and these goals will continually evolve. But we're creating tools and different things within these different goals to provide tools for the industry. So whether it's creating a database of case studies, or doing some financial analysis to show the actual case studies of the financial impacts to the society, to the different user groups, different stakeholders. So these are subtasks within each one. So that's what Dave was referring to as task groups. So there's multiple things, and we're building a big, action list, which is starting to evolve. And so that moves me to goal number 4. So we take these first 3 fundamental goals, the societal, the financial, and the environmental aspects of service life extension, which we gain a lot of knowledge and we gain tools from. So goal 4 really takes that information and starts to advocate. We want to be advocating for responsible stewardship of this built concrete environment. So that means going out to the stakeholders, going out to legislatures and governments, whatever it is that will guide us to help influence much better asset management and stewardship of these important resources that we have put investment into, and maintaining them to reduce these other impacts. So that's advocacy is huge, and that will evolve in the coming months and years. Goal number 5 is to serve. We see a lot of knowledge. We're not creating new knowledge or new ways to do things, like the expertise of fixing things. We have all that. The different organizations that spent the last 50, 60 years building that, we're going to be leveraging that and just provide resources for people that can show and point to people where to go for that knowledge. And goal number 6 is to be accountable. We want to be accountable to ourselves and the actions that we're doing, and publish periodic sustainability reports on our industry efforts. So we want to make that public. Sort of like the ASCE, report card on the infrastructure that they publish on a periodic basis. The ABCDEF, I guess ABCDF, on how well we're maintaining the infrastructure. So we're going to have something similar, but very specific to the concrete industry. So those are the 6 goals.
Hopefully better grades than we see on the ASCE. I always see D's and D minuses, and hopefully we'll be doing a little better then. Suzanne?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Dave and I, we get our excitement for this initiative gets more exciting as we actually see doable things that we can do to actually create a change in how we approach these problems of maintaining assets. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, your 6 goals are super clear and outlined, and they're providing quantitative measurements. They're tangible and practical, and they're actionable. And so, what's going on with PEX right now, and where do you see things going forward? Where do you think PEX is headed?
Yeah, so I think that's a good question. I'll start out, and maybe Dave, you can add to this. Our goal 2 years ago, it's almost been 2 years since we formally set up the organization. We've gotten a lot done, I think, in 24 months. And, we said in the first 24 months, we want to actually create an identity of what will PEX be doing. So when we talk to people about PEX, we can say, this is what we're doing. These are our goals, and these are the actions that we're taking to meet those goals. So we wanted to do that in the first 24 months. So we're on schedule for that. The next period is we're outlining it now, exactly how we're going to leverage those actions, those goals into actually a sustainable plan that will carry us into the future, where we're actually carrying out these goals and doing all these things that we're outlining in the goals. So that will be our kind of, we're going from infancy and creation to actually implementation. And Dave, you may want to share some of the things that we got on our docket for this coming couple of years.
Okay, no problem. So I think Peter's given you kind of a big picture kind of structure and strategy in terms of how we're approaching the overall issue, kind of on a more micro level, within each one of the goals. As I said, we have task groups that are working on them. And for example, with regard to the, environmental impact goal number 2, one of the things that came out of the discussions in that goal by the people that are involved there is that, okay, we need to be able to develop a standardized way of quantifying the, environmental impact of these jobs, the good and the bad part of it. If you do a concrete repair job, how do you quantify it? And so we have a group. It includes several people from Europe, at least one, if not two, from Japan, and a number from North America, and that have been working on having effectively a standardized method to quantify the impact of that you would have, the beneficial impact, for example, of repairing or saving a structure. And we've started to prepare essentially a series of case studies that will come out of that. So one is to have a methodology, and then the second part is to then show how that can be used. And at a meeting, an industry meeting we had a few weeks ago in conjunction with the International Concrete Repair Institute annual meeting, we had a workshop, and we presented the findings of one of the case studies that they're working on, which was basically a concrete repair and service life extension project in a parking garage in Detroit. And essentially this project is in construction right now. And we use that as a live example to walk through the metrics and to quantify the impact. And without getting into all of the details, but basically they did a repair and preservation strategy, which included, concrete repairs, waterproofing membranes, cathodic protection on the decks. And the net impact of that is that project, we can show that project will save, over 800 tons of CO2 emissions versus the alternative of demolishing it and building a new parking garage. And so, that's one case study. And, if you had another parking garage, you could probably take that approach and modify it slightly, but we will be developing a whole series of different case studies for different types of structures and different types of situations, so that people can then take that information and apply it to their own projects to be able to get some quantification of the environmental impact of their jobs. That's one example of
that's
things that are
fantastic.
going on.
Do you foresee a time when this becomes maybe more commonplace, that owners are also not only talking about, hey, what's it going to cost to build a new garage or a building or whatever, but they're also talking about, well, building new, is this and repair and extension is this, and dollars are one thing, but also the environmental, the CO2 impact of each
Yes.
option? Is that where you see it headed? That becomes more
Oh, oh.
commonplace?
Ultimately, we have to go in that direction because, and CO2 is one metric that can be used for measuring environmental impact. Peter's also mentioned, just the consumption of the raw materials themselves in order that would be required to build the new parking garage. That's another, approach. But however you do it, we need to take a broader look at things and look at more than just the initial cost or more than just the incremental cost of, say, doing a concrete repair project. At this point in time, we need to think about how effective is that repair in extending its service life, and we need to fully cost these. I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, I can build a new parking garage for X amount of money, but you need to take into account all of the other costs, like demolishing and getting rid of all of the old stuff that's there. And a lot of times people are not really, they're just more looking at the sticker price for the new thing. And we need to make decisions that are more based on the full plate of information that is part of the reality.
It sounds like you're very much setting up the foundation necessary to take these more holistic views on new processes to approach construction. And that's just fundamental across the industry. That's so desperately needed for people to make a change. And so that's exciting.
Yeah, I think it is. And we started thinking that we needed to go in that direction with regard to existing structures and repairs to existing structures. And we were focused on that at the very beginning. And then, as Peter mentioned a little while ago, it became clear as we went through the different workshops that even though our focus is on extending the life of the existing structures, we need to think about how that plays in to the new construction part of the industry as well, because it's not responsible for us to close our eyes and just ignore what they're doing on the new construction side. If what they're building isn't durable in and of itself, if we can help so that we build more durable structures initially, either through materials, design, or construction practices, then we lighten the maintenance and repair burden on those structures later on, which ultimately is better for the overall system.
Yeah, we have all the technology to do that. We don't have to invent anything here. We've got all the products, the technology, the skills to do everything that Dave just mentioned. So that's the exciting part. It's just getting people motivated to do these things. Sometimes it's regulatory. Sometimes we have to make it regulatory in building codes. This is how you have to do it in these types of environments, which is just, that's low-lying fruit. Mm-hmm. We've identified it. We just are now, that's part of the advocacy, that we will be going out and making sure that what we know and what can be applied to make structures last longer from the very beginning. Yep. That's exciting.
What's amazed me is some of the things that came, or came out of the video that you could see is just the sheer size of the impact. If you can extend the life of a structure, by a year, 2 years, 5 years, the impact on the environment is so dramatic. CO2 standpoint, everything, materials going to landfills. I mean, I think the impact is not well known out there in the general public. Is that part of PEX's mission as well, to get that word out better?
Yes. Yeah, I think Dave, Rick, you mentioned that, and it really resonates with me that, part of one of the early things that PEX has done is create an updated market study of how much are we spending on repair and maintenance of concrete structures, the protection, it's on highways, roadways, tunnels, parking structures, buildings. It goes on and on, all the things that you see concrete. So how much is being spent a year? So we did an update of the market analysis of that. and we'll be publishing that shortly. 65 million in just the U.S., North America alone. 65 billion is being spent of these activities that we've been speaking of. And it's about 450 billion worldwide that we've estimated. And we spent a lot of time looking at the numbers. So the awareness of how much we're spending, and getting the best use of that money, because people are spending it and they don't want to spend it, but they have to because their structures will create safety issues, aesthetic issues, and structural safety is a big part of that. So as people see this as an asset management, it's going to change how they think of that investment as being an investment, not an expense. And that awareness will help change the world that we live in and become more sensitive to all the things that we're talking about at PEX.
Absolutely.
Very good. Very good. I think, guys, we probably got to invite you guys back because I think there'll be a lot to talk about, as PEX progresses and continues to grow. But I think we're almost about ready to wrap up this session. Any final thoughts that you might want to just share? But this has been really, really enlightening. Anything, Dave or Peter, you
Sure.
wanted to finish up with?
Yeah, we would absolutely be happy to come back at a later date whenever that fits, because we've only touched on some of the things that the groups have been working on. I think if anyone listening to the podcast is interested in getting involved, whether they feel that they're an expert or whether they just want to be involved because this is an important issue for them, we welcome everybody. And you can obviously reach out to Peter or myself personally if you wish to, or you can go to our website, which is PEXCOE.org, so PEX Center of Excellence.org. And not only can you see the video and other information that's up there, but you can actually put in your contact information to get on our mailing list. You can join any one or more of the working groups. And I'd just like to extend an open invitation to anyone that would like to get involved, to come and join us, because this is a really important initiative. And I think it's important that we all contribute to it. So thanks for inviting us.
Great.
Yeah,
Peter, anything last?
I think Dave mentioned everything I was going to mention, so I think that's a good wrap.
Well, this was a fantastic discussion, and we truly want to thank you both for bringing your insights and sharing this knowledge with us and to our listeners. And thank you both, Peter and Dave, for joining us today. It's been great.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Suzanne and Rick.
Thank you.